Leeds United have made one of, if not actually their first signing of the summer transfer window, and it is a very, very young winger currently well, not currently, formerly of Manchester United, that looks like he is going to be an incredible talent for the long term. So in this video I'm going to talk about who he is, why come to Leeds United, and ultimately why this is going to benefit both him and us. Sorry, words are being a bit difficult right now. It's been a very, very busy day, and I'm recording this at about 1 in the morning. Um, before I get into everything, just subscribe to the channel. There's one button down there. Be massively appreciated. And I'm going to try and get to 8,000 relatively sharpish. That'd be lovely. Thank you very much. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. Um, the winger that Leeds United have signed is Silva Mexes. Now, Silva Mexes is, I believe, the son of former Wales international Rob Earnshaw, which is a hell of a place to start, going from Earnshaw to Silva Mexes in terms of names. It's a bit of a wild one. But he is reportedly on the verge of signing a scholarship at Leeds United. Effectively, these are what you get when you go from sort of the very youth parts of the youth academy to some form of professional terms. It's an early version of a contract at a football club. Then it's not a proper professional contract because you're not allowed to sign one of those until your age of 17. At that point, you can sign for 2 years at most, I believe. And then from then on, you can sign for as long as you like. If you're signing for Chelsea, you can sign for about 17 years, apparently. But it's going to be the initial sort of scholarship stage at the moment, which means that we will, I believe, owe Manchester United a sort of compensation payment for developing him in the first place. But I doubt it's going to be a case of a fairly significant fee. Currently 16 years old and has a lot of hype around him, to be honest with you. He's a very, very young sort of high performing winger that gets a lot of profile behind him because of the way that he plays. He's already signed with Rock Nation Sports International, which is, I believe, Jay Z's sports agency, which is a very weird signing for him when he's just 16 years old. He signed for them back in March and he's sort of progressed forward. What I believe's happened there is he's signed for them, they've gone, you should probably do something with your career, and he's likely going to play more football at Leeds United and have some form of route into a first team at Leeds United. So that feels like what's potentially happened there. He's expected to initially join the under 18s. If he's very good there, he's going to join the under 21s, and if he's very good there, presumably in a few years' time, linking up with the senior side and hopefully joining up with the likes of a Harry Gray, a Jaden Lino. But there are some questions around how he benefits from this, which is fairly obvious in my opinion. His benefit here is he will play more football here. We've got a less sort of deep academy than Manchester United do, which is completely understandable. Our scouting network is less incredibly complicated than theirs. But in addition to that, we get a significant benefit by having more talent in our youth ranks. Because what we've been doing recently was, well, at least in the autumn years, was we'd sign a bunch of players to play for the 21s. That happened with the likes of Rafa Majica. It happened with J. Roy Grott. Was J. Roy Grott a youth signing? I can't quite remember. Kun Mihailov, another decent one. We'd sign a bunch of fairly good under 21 players and just say, look, anyone that comes through the academy now actually has footballers to play with. And then we hit the stage of getting into the Premier League where we had to put all of our money into signing senior players, and that strategy went away. And now we've hit the stage of all of those players have either left or come into the squad more permanently, in the case of Pascal Struijk, who is, I believe, the only one that's effectively survived from that tactic. So we need to pad out the youth ranks again, and we've been doing it a fair bit recently, and we're doing it at a younger age from what we were doing it in the past. So in the past, it was a case of we'd sign 18, 19-year-olds, and they would immediately come into the under 21s and compete for a place. At the moment, we're going more along the lines of a Jaden Linu. We're going for, at the moment, Silva Mexes and other players of that same age group that are 16, 17, that are going to join up with the under 18s and then mean that from the under 18s age group onwards, they are playing with better players. And if you play with better players, you're going to become a better player yourself because you're being challenged every single day, both in training and in matches. So it's not only the under 18s that benefit, it's going to be the under 21s that have a benefit because the players that have been in the under-18s will now be better than they would be, so when they're playing with the under-21s, they are better, which raises that ceiling, which is genuinely fantastic. And this approach is seemingly going to be a fairly significant part of the strategy going forwards. In that leaked document that the 49ers had, that was a sort of pitch deck that was going out to all the investors the moment we joined the Premier League, a lot of it was focused around this sort of youth academy rebuild. A significant proportion of it was the youth academy is struggling right now. We'll invest a decent sum of money into it, and then if every 2 years we can sell someone for a reasonable sum of money, the academy pays for itself and we don't need to invest many more funds into it. The approach at the moment seems to be get players who are a little bit unsure of their future at a Liverpool, at a Man City. I know we signed someone for the academy from Man City and I've forgotten his name, which is a bit of a shame, but that's fine. Or in this case, Max says, don't pay excessive fees for them, but sign them from that scholarship age so the compensation payments are a little bit lower. And then you build and you build and you build. And someone like Alainu, who has been called up for Wales now, whilst we signed him for sod all, is going to be, at the very least, a profit in the future. And with the level that he plays at, I honestly believe he can be a Premier League player in the future, whether that's with us or somewhere else. It's a fairly solid strategy that a lot of clubs in the Premier League use now, and we've recently failed to. Like, from our recent academy signings, etc., Somerville, I don't know if you consider him an academy player. Let's be completely clear here. He was signed and then didn't spend too long in the 21s. Nonto was supposed to spend longer in the 21s but got right into the first team. You're probably looking at Joe Gelhardt as your main player that we signed as a youth prospect with the idea of, okay, you'll grow and we'll sell you, and we're only just now potentially going to be able to sell him. Being able to more effectively transfer youth potential into income or playing time in the Premier League is something that I'm glad that we're focusing on, because it's more economically efficient. And I know that's a really boring thing to say in a football video, but with the reality of the squad cost ratio, I think it's called squad cap ratio, I don't know, with the reality of financial regulations, you're only going to be able to spend so much cash. So spending really efficiently on the academy means that we save as much as we can for the higher cost areas. And yeah, a lot of academy costs don't end up coming into the amount that you end up having to put into squad cost ratio and all that kind of stuff. Same for infrastructure costs, which is why paying for a stadium isn't a problem. But at the same time, you're also saving financially from the actual bank account. So I think overall, this is a very, very astute move. It's something that we should look for the club doing more of. Like the likes of a Leonard Ngenge is another one. We signed him from a club in Africa, and he is going to be a star, I think. And continuing to do this and using decent youth recruitment, I am so tired, is going to be something that pays off for the club for hopefully decades to come, but we'll find out how it goes. Like Harry Gray, I expect to go out on loan again next season, probably to the Championship. But that's, again, another part of that youth development thing. I'm just glad that we're doing it again. Anyway, that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, as always. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't yet, even be a channel member, all the lovely stuff. I'll try and potentially have an England-based video out for you later today, but we'll see if that's doable. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all later. Doodle. I would say, and now to get to bed, but I've got a bunch of prep work for a shift in the morning, so that's fun. Ta-ra.